Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I will be talking about things I hate in romance books. I'm a little nervous for this video because I have tried to film this video twice before and I didn't like the footage. I just thought I was way too negative and way too mean. So even though this is a very negative video, I'm going to try not to be super harsh, I guess. But these are tropes, plots, or just random things that I don't like in romance books. I'm not a picky reader. I'm sure you guys know that. Like, I'm not very particular or harsh with what I read. I'm very easygoing when it comes to books, but there are things that I don't like to read about. There are tropes or plots that I just am not interested in and that I know I will never pick up. And I've done a video a long time ago called Tropes and Plots I Love, which I probably should do an updated version of that. Let me know if you would be interested in that. But I have never done this type of video where I talk about things I don't like in books, specifically romances. I know that there are books out there, I'm sure, that would have any of these that could change my mind or that could be the exception. But I don't know, life is just too short for me to want to pick up a book that has something I know I don't like. I'd rather just focus on books that I have a better chance of actually loving. If you like any of the things that I'm mentioning today, it is not an attack on you. I just don't like it in books and it's just not my thing. The first one is reverse harem. I really don't enjoy reverse harem. A lot of the reverse harem that I know about or that is popular or that I have tried to read is new adult, and a lot of it takes place in high school, and I just find it really immature and over dramatic. And I don't know, it's not something I've ever really enjoyed reading about. I especially don't like when the female character is in love with more than just one. Like, that to me is not something I like reading about. Like, I really like reading about one character falling in love with another character. I can absorb the romance more and just feel more connected to the characters when it's just like a one-on-one thing, which is why I really don't like poly romances or like menage romances. Sometimes I will enjoy menage romances. I feel like I read a lot back in the day. I feel like a lot of them are just based purely on sex, which is fine, obviously, but I don't know, I need more of like an emotional connection. Also, this is a random thing, but I read this in one book and I absolutely hated it. It was Accidental Witness by Mariano. I guess this is kind of a spoiler, not really, but basically the female character hooks up with both brothers. She's only really in love with one of them and she only ends up with one of them. And it's very confusing. I really hated the way it was done in that book. It was just weird and it made me hate that, and that's why I kind of don't like all of these reverse harem, brother sharing, or whatever you want to call that, and like poly romances and menage. Like, I don't know, there's just something about it that I don't really like. The next one isn't a trope or plot. It's kind of like a plot device, but that is the crazy ex. I feel like it was very popular in like 2010 to 2014. I feel like that was in a lot of romances back in the day. I don't think it's used that much anymore, but that is something that I found always super predictable, that there would be like this vengeful ex that came in the picture that tried to tear apart the couple, but it was always done in this way of making the ex-girlfriend into this crazy character. I hated the way that they used a female character to ruin a relationship and like make her appear to be insane, and it just kind of always left a bad taste in my mouth. I always felt like it was a little sexist and just very typical, definitely way overused. Like, it was in a lot of romances back in the day. If it does happen in a book I'm reading, I automatically give the book a less star rating because I don't like it. The funny thing is I don't like this plot device, but I'm okay with like the occasional slut shaming in a book. I understand how sometimes it's kind of like unnecessary and gross, but like I don't really care that much about slut shaming. I feel like it's more worse if a man slut shames a female character, like one of his exes, or like a girl that's just like always around. That I don't like, but if a female character slut shames another one in a book, I don't really care. But I feel like definitely when a man slut shames a female character, I do not like that at all. Okay, this one is probably going to be a little controversial, but I don't like age gaps when the female character is older. This one is one I can't really explain. I think it just makes me a little uncomfortable. I still do read romances like this with an older female character, but it's not something that I automatically pick up or that I gravitate towards. Like, it's definitely something that I have to like psych myself up for and be like, okay, you know the female character is older, like it's okay. But there is something that I can't explain why it makes me uncomfortable. It's just not something I like reading about either. I really don't know. The next couple of ones kind of go together. I don't really enjoy dating app romances. I find them boring. Sometimes a lot of them can deal with catfishing, which I also don't like. I really don't like catfishing romances. I'm also not a fan of texting romances. I feel like that kind of plays with the dating app stuff, where the characters are just constantly texting. I'd rather just have like one-on-one with the character and not be in like texting or letters. I would also say I don't like letter related romances. These ones I'm like pretty chill on. Like, I still will read dating app romances or texting romances or romances with long letters and stuff. Like, I still will read some of these, but it's not something that I love. And it's something that like I'm kind of about, and like if it has it in the book, I might not pick it up, or I will procrastinate reading it. Again, I think it's just something where I find it boring, and like I tend to skip long letters and I tend to skip like texts and stuff like that. Two other tropes that I don't particularly enjoy are political romances and royal romances. So whether the character is a public figure in politics or in like a royal family. I feel like I've read a decent amount of royal romances, and the only ones I really love are Karina Hallie's. And for politic romances, I feel like I have read a decent amount as well, and I don't think I've ever liked any of them. I feel like, again, that's something that's kind of boring, is where they talk about like their duties and like things they have to do and like business talk. I'm not really big on romances that deal with like a lot of business and politics. I will read any historical royal romance, those I love, but modern day ones, I find them so boring and I don't get the appeal. Another trope I don't particularly enjoy is the second choice, or the like dead loved one and there's a new love interest that comes in the picture. I often feel like it makes the new love interest not feel like they live up to the dead loved one, and that they're always trying to compete with a ghost. It makes me feel like the love that these new characters have together isn't as strong as the love one of the characters had with their dead loved one. Like I said, there are some books that do it justice, but I often feel like authors don't really do it well, and I can't think of any at the top of my head that I feel like have been done really, really well, but I know there are some that I have really liked. But I often feel like this trope falls flat because a lot of authors will write the dead loved one to be better than the new love interest, or that the character will always love the other one more. I feel like this next one is one that's pretty popular. I feel like this one is kind of one we all hate right now, and that is the miscommunication trope. I'm really over the whole miscommunication thing and the third act breakup thing, especially if the miscommunication leads up to that third act breakup. I'm really not into that anymore. I definitely rate a book lower if it has it, especially if it's not done well. Like, there can be miscommunications that happen throughout the book and they can be resolved and dealt with well, but oftentimes it's not dealt with well, and it just goes on and on and on the entire book, and you know exactly that they're going to break up because of this miscommunication. I also feel like oftentimes authors will have that third act breakup and then the characters will get back together, but they don't actually have like a proper resolution, and it's like they don't properly grovel and they don't properly like apologize or like own up to what happened, and it's just like this quick, oh, let's get back together because we love each other so much, the end. And I really hate that. I wish authors took more time towards the end to write a better reconnecting scene, and like also had a little bit more of a resolution towards the end. I wish endings with a miscommunication trope were a lot longer so that we actually had a proper ending that like felt closed and like wrapped up. And I'm not saying that it needs to be like an epilogue with like 10 years in the future or something like that. What I mean is like I want them to have just like a proper ending that like gives the satisfaction of what happened. Does that make sense? I feel like, again, this is one I'm not explaining very well. I think I just want more scenes of the characters like actually trying to work through that miscommunication and like actually explaining themselves and properly apologizing, and like also having a little bit more of a scene of them like happy together. I hate the way that miscommunication is done in romances, and I hate the way that authors often don't tie it up properly. The last thing on my list isn't really like a trope or a plot or anything like that. It's more just something that I feel like is really popular in the romance community, and that is when authors do novellas or short stories or extended epilogues. I don't like when authors end a book and at the end of the book they will have their acknowledgements and all that jazz, and then they will have, if you want an extended epilogue, please sign up for my newsletter. I just kind of wish authors would stop doing that. Like, I understand that they want to have more people to sign up for their newsletter and like have more promo for their books. Like, I totally understand the point of it, obviously, but it just, as a reader, makes me really frustrated, because if I want to read that epilogue, I have to sign up and I have to like go through all these steps to sign up, when it's just like, can I just read it in the book? I wish authors who wrote short stories or novellas for some of their couples, I wish they would include it in bind-ups of their own books, like of their own published stuff. Because if it's my favorite couple, I want to read everything that the author has written for them. Every little short story, every little thing, I want to read about it. And it's hard to find all of those short stories and those novellas over the years, and I wish more authors would just publish them all in one little book. That way we could have all of those scenes in one book. Does that make sense? So those were all the things that I don't like in romances. Let me know if you agree with some of the things I mentioned or disagree, and let me know what plots, tropes, or other things that you don't like in romance novels. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!